Hi everyone, Shannon Dow here with Healthcare Genius, and I wanted to talk to you today about an experience that I had with a really good, really interesting way that I could help my mom plan for long-term care that was affordable. If you know anything about long-term care, you know that it can be really expensive. Long-term care is essentially nursing homes, home health care, some types of assisted living. Basically, if you need help that's not necessarily help you need from a doctor or in a hospital or necessarily related to a medical event, but you need help getting around the house, maybe eating, bathing, taking medications, that sort of thing, that's where long-term care can play an important role in your life. A lot of times this doesn't happen until later in life, but it can really happen at any time. And so the more I've learned about it, just in this industry that I'm in, the more I've talked to family members about it. It's not a fun topic, especially talking with my 56-year-old mother who's in great health. It's not something that she wants me to tell her about, that she needs to plan for, because nobody ever thinks that it'll happen to them. You know, I just read a study the other day that said there are people that would rather die than end up in a nursing home. And I believe it. It's a scary thought. But the reality is at least 60% of people at one point or another will need some type of long-term care in their lives in the United States. And that's a big number. The reason that it can be so scary is, you know, no one ever wants to be put in that position, but also it can be really expensive, and health insurance doesn't cover it and Medicare doesn't cover it. So you're looking at astronomical out-of-pocket costs. It's a scary thought. You know, I think the average nursing home cost in 2019 was almost $100,000 per year. So it's a big deal. So when I started talking to my mom about this, she said, okay, fine, what are my options? And we have some other videos on long-term care insurance, which is a phenomenal way to plan. We also have life insurance policies that have long-term care riders, which can be another great way to plan. That way, whether you need long-term care or not, there's some kind of benefit with that policy. There's also different ways you can pay for it, annuities, things like that. But what I wanted to talk to you about today, and what the most affordable way to pay for it generally, is term insurance with living benefits. And this was a great option for my mom, so it's something that's near and dear to my heart and that I want to tell you about. Essentially, term life insurance with living benefits is a life insurance policy. So you only have it for a certain amount of time. Generally, we recommend 30 years if it's to cover a possible long-term care need. You pay a premium. It's generally more affordable than other types of life insurance. But traditionally, if you don't pass away within that 30-year time frame, then the policy goes to waste. And when I say it goes to waste, you know, you're still covered in that time, but you don't get anything back from the policy. Now, if you do pass away within that time period, there's a death benefit, and it goes to your kids or your spouse or whoever you've designated as the beneficiary. And that was that. Now we're seeing some newer policies that are really interesting because they offer coverage for some things while you're still alive. So within that time frame, if my mom bought this policy at age 56, and it's a 30-year policy, between now and the time she's 86 years old, if she either got sick, unfortunately cancer runs in our family, so that's a big risk. If she lost some activities of daily living, which is generally how people define long-term care. So if she couldn't get around or couldn't eat or couldn't take her medications, couldn't bathe, that type of thing, basically that term policy with living benefits will kick in and it will pay. And generally it pays up to 90% of the death benefit. So if I bought her a policy, or if she bought herself a policy and the death benefit was $500,000, if something happened and she needed some money while she was still living, she would have access to $450,000, or 90% of that death benefit. And so you can't always get that at one time. Sometimes it's 24% per year, for example, but it gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to the what ifs in life. And so I know there are a lot of parents that, they don't want to rely on their kids, whether it's to help take care of them or whether it's financially should something happen, but can't necessarily put away, $100,000 a year, for example, which is that nursing home cost that I mentioned earlier. And so if you don't have a big bucket of cash for a rainy day, this is a great way to make sure that you're covered should something happen to you. And again, it's pretty affordable. So for our family, it was a really good way for a weight to be lifted off my mom's shoulders. And now that I told her how scary long-term care can be, it's something she was worried about. So this was a really good way for her to ensure that she wouldn't put that burden on my brother and I, and for her to do it at a reasonably affordable price. Now, we hope that she never gets sick. We hope that she never has to have any kind of long-term care, and that would be best case scenario. So if that should happen, then, we pay into that policy, and when she passes away, then there's the 100% of the death benefit is still there. So then the death benefit would be $500,000. If she needs some of that while she's living, then it reduces the death benefit. So the maximum death benefit, you either get it while you're living or your heirs get it while you pass away. But that's the one downside, is that different from a straight life insurance policy, there is a chance that when she passes away, there's not much of that benefit left. But for her number one concern isn't leaving us money, unfortunately, but it is making sure that we don't have that burden while she's still around. And for me, my number one concern is I don't want to put my mom in a place that isn't the best. So if the time comes, 20 years from now or more, where she needs some kind of care, I want it to be the top-notch care. And so to have a way to pay for that, should that time come, was so important to our family. If you want to learn a little bit more about how to get ready for healthcare and retirement, go ahead and watch our other videos, subscribe to our channel, make sure you click the bell to be notified when we come out with new stuff. And if you want some help personally and you want to become a client, go ahead and check out the link in the description below and apply. Thanks.